Oh, hi, friends. Doc South here. And, I don't know if this video is going to wind up seeing the light of day, but I'm going to try to do it anyway. I've been kind of watching the news and all the baloney going on. Of course, coronavirus has everybody on edge, but then now all this, the race is not getting together, kind of fighting with one another. And I don't know. I thought I'd put in my 2 cents for maybe some calm to hit the situation. I think that would be nice. Because frankly, I don't know. I don't think people need to fight. All they got to do is start listening to one another, interacting with one another, treat each other kindly, and serve one another, and things will work out. For me, one prime directive is to serve, to help other people, whether there's anything in it for you or not. You go and you do what you can to help, no matter who they are. I carried that with me into rescue work and many other things I've done in my life. And as I think back, now that I'm an old geezer, serving was anytime I found myself, if I can look back and just think of my best times, it was times when I was serving. Again, trying to do something, not worrying to help without worrying so much about whether I got a reward for it or not. Okay. That's the best I can say. And I think back to when I lived in the South. Of course, when I lived down there in the Carolinas, people were pretty much coming out of the black hating white, white hating black kind of situation. I think things were starting to clear up, and that was good. That was good, as well it should be. And I'm remembering there was a lady I used to go. There was an old lady who was black. She lived in one of the neighborhoods, and she answered an ad I had placed in the paper to cane chairs. I'm actually, believe it or not, I know how to put those cane seats in. Yeah, I'm not too darn bad at it either. And I remember this lady called me up and she said she had a bunch of chairs needed caning. And how much did I charge? And I said, well, ma'am, I'll have to see the chair to tell you. Can I come over? And she gave me the address, and it was in basically a black neighborhood. I know folks were looking at me like, what are you doing going up to old lady Benson's house, and thinking, I was maybe a collector or some, say, a bill collector or something. And no, I knocked on the door, and well, she was an older lady, very nice lady. She invited me in, she made me a coffee, and we sat, and she showed me the chairs. She said, now, how much would these cost? And I said, well, gosh, these chairs aren't going to be too hard to do. I said, I've got to string, the caning all through them. It'll take a day or two per chair, give or take. I normally would do about $30 for a chair, but and I said that to her, but I said, for you've got so many. I knew she probably didn't have a whole lot of money. She was doing okay. She wasn't starving or anything, but I just felt like maybe money was tight for her. I told her, you know what? I'll do them $15 a chair. How's that? She said, okay, that's good. That's good. And I started one chair at a time. And every time I finished a chair, I'd just take one chair at a time. And I'd bring back her finished chair. She'd look at it, and she was just so tickled. And she'd sit and talk with me. She was a nice lady. Always paid me cash. And I know some of the neighbors came around one day as I'm leaving, just to make sure I wasn't, hurting her or something, or up to no good. And she came out onto the down the walk and said, no, this young man's doing my, look at this, he's caning my chairs. I said, and folks were kind of impressed. You know how to cane chairs? I said, yeah. They said, well, we got some chairs too. Next thing, I was kind of the chair caning guy in that neighborhood. It's kind of neat. And now and then, when I was on, of course, I was on the rescue squad in that town. And now and then I get called to that neck of the woods, and hey, the chair caning guy's here. I said, I'm not here to cane chairs tonight. Now we got to take care of this fellow with the fractured leg. Yeah, I guess so. Okay. And but it was, it was, you couldn't have asked for a nicer old lady. She was really very pleasant, and she made good coffee too. I know at the radio station there was a black DJ named Sam. Sam was the guy who got me doing the right thing on radio. He insisted I'd come in to do a show and I'd have a script all written out. You know what Sam would do with that? He'd get my attention one way or another he'd get my attention looking somewhere else, and he'd grab the script and go running down the street, tearing it to pieces, saying, you know how to talk, don't you go. I can still hear him. You're on your own. You got to start talking like you talk to me, he says. You're always telling me stories. Tell your audience a story or two. Crying out loud. And with that, he'd go flying out the front door, ripping my script to shreds. And I'd be on there going, hamada, 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 hamada. But then all of a sudden, one day, I realized, well, I better tell a story or something. I'd start yakking. Next thing you know, people were digging the show even more. Yeah. Oh, yeah, some of the stories were bummers, but for the most part, no. Sam was right. There was a lovely girl there. I can't think of her name now. Again, she was black, and she was the sweetest, nicest girl. She was married to a dentist, I believe, and she was always just so nice. Always had the information available for me that I needed for the to work some of the machinery. She had at the station, the equipment. She had all sorts of commercials all put together for me that I could do on the air. And eventually she'd sometimes sit in when I do one of my oldie shows. But she eventually, when I left that station, she got my job, and I'm sure she did a fantastic job of it. Yes, she was just, again, one of those nice people, pretty as pie, and just a swell person. There was a friend of mine, Rudolph, on the rescue squad. He. African American, he was just absolutely one of the best rescue people I ever knew. And he didn't care what color you were. You could be purple with white polka dots. And he could give a rat's hiney. If you're hurt, you're gonna get the best care he can give you. And I saw him save a baby. Yep, he saved a baby that was drowning. And he brought that baby back to life, and that baby's fine. He was shaken, but he did it. Doggone, he did it. He was one great fella. And it's funny, when he joined the squad, he was the first black African American to join the squad, and they set him with a fellow who didn't like black people too much they were partners. And they didn't talk for about 2 or 3 days on calls. But after a while, they realized that next thing you know, I'd say it took about maybe 5-6 weeks of this kind of thing, where they had to go out on calls, and that was it. It was the two of them, no one else. They eventually squared off their differences, and next thing you know, they were the best of friends. I'm telling you, they were. Good-hearted people will see the light. And I guess that's what I'm saying. It might be better, instead of all this fighting and, what would the word be? Just everybody with their nose out of joint about some of this stuff. It might be a good idea to just kind of let one another grow on one another. And I think you'll find that, truth be known, what color your skin is where you came from, what your religion is, frankly, don't mean two snorts to God. And it'll be you'll be so much happier, and you'll have a lot more friends. Yeah, and I don't know, and they'll have friends. They'll have you. I don't know. I'm just saying. I think it's a very good idea to forget the differences, start looking for where you can agree, and do your thing. Serve. Now, when I say serve, I mean get out and don't worry about whether you're going to get paid, whether you're going to get notoriety. You might get your nose punched serving. Well, that's all right. You got your nose punched serving. So a little badge of honor for you. I don't know how many times rescuing, man, you come home all beat up. Some clown decided the fist fight he lost wasn't over yet. He wakes up in the ambulance, and next you know he's pounding you, and you're trying to help him. Goofball. Oh, speaking of rescue, there was a lady. I remember she was the head nurse at the hospital ER, and a big burly woman who was black, and she was absolutely the sweetest, smartest nurse you'd ever want to know, and she knew her stuff. If she was on duty, in charge of that ER, no, it didn't matter who the heck you were. Didn't matter who the heck you were. You'd be getting the best of care from her. Now some folks came in were kind of foolish. It might mouth off to her, but she'd handle that all in due time, and she was just one of the great people. I'm just saying, friends, there's good friends waiting for you, and they might just be from the other side of the street. But you're welcome on the other side of the street. Go on over there and say hello. And you never know. You might find you got yourself a whole big bucket full of new friends. And that goes for everyone. It just don't really matter that awful much. Again, the outside differences of the people. Are they good people? Good. Don't worry about what color they are. Okay. What religion they are. Where they're from. Are they rich? Are they poor? On all of that. Just like people. And I think you'll be a whole lot better off. Anyway, I'll see you later, friends. So, you know what? Well, let's do a Lord's Prayer moment. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, the glory forever. So be it. I guess you got to think too, if God made them, they might just have something on the ball. Okay? I'm just saying. I'll see you later. Bye now. God bless.